Ukraine's war with Russia is also the main issue at the NATO defense ministers meeting in Brussels today. The Secretary General for the alliance, Jens Stoltenberg, spoke with reporters a short time ago, and he promised NATO's commitment to Kyiv will not waver.
Ukrainians need predictability. We need to prevent what we saw over the last months with serious delays in the provision of military support. That actually created big problems for Ukrainians on the battlefield. And we need also to convey to President Putin that he cannot wait us out. The more he believes that he can just stay on and then we will give up, then this war will continue. So the stronger we communicate and the clearer we demonstrate that we are ready for the long haul, the sooner this war can end.
Canada's Defence Minister Bill Blair is at the talks in Brussels. He's pledging Canada will send more weapons to the front lines for Ukraine. CBC's Abby Kuthassan joins us now from Berlin. So, Abby, what else did we hear from Blair?
Jacqueline, essentially the message today being that there will be more aid for Ukraine from Canada. And as Minister Blair arrived in Brussels to meet with his counterparts as part of this Ukraine Defense Contact Group, he made several announcements, one of them being that Canada will provide an additional 130,000 rounds of small arms ammunitions. He also confirmed that Canada will send to Ukraine 29 Nanic remote weapon systems. These are weapons that can be mounted on different kinds of armored vehicles. And he also referred to an ask from the Ukrainian armed forces. They had requested some weapons that had already been decommissioned by the Canadian armed forces. And Minister Blair confirming just a few hours ago that some of those motor rockets will be delivered to Ukraine. Here's him referring to that specific announcement and providing further details.
Canada will provide Ukraine with 2,300 Canadian Rocket Vehicle 7s, or CRV rocket motors. And this equipment was formerly used by the Royal Canadian Air Force on our CF-18 aircraft. We are continuing to test an additional 80,000 of these CRV-7 rockets, and pending the results of those tests, we intend to ship more packages of these motors to our Ukrainian partners in the future.
He also said that some of the 900 drones already pledged will start being delivered to Kyiv this month, as will the first 4 of the 50 armored combat support vehicles that were manufactured in London, Ontario. So certainly a very strong message coming from Minister Blair with regard to Canada's unwavering support for Kyiv, and that being very much shown with these announcements, Jacqueline.
And what else is being discussed regarding Ukraine today?
Certainly a big part of this contact group that meets not only with NATO officials, but with officials and representatives from various militaries from about 50 countries. It's all about short-term and long-term support for Ukraine. And we heard just a short while ago from the Secretary General, Jens Stoltenberg, saying that they can't afford delays because delays have consequences. And so certainly ramping up production in terms of ammunition across North America and Europe, a main priority. They're discussing that. He also talked about the fact that European countries and other allies within NATO have done a lot already. He praised them. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
European allies and Canada are stepping up with significant additional support to Ukraine, but we're also in the NATO-Ukraine Council and tomorrow at the Defense Ministerial meeting of NATO address how to establish an even stronger institutionalized framework to ensure the support for Ukraine for the long haul, and that includes also a financial pledge, a multi-year financial pledge.
Of course, Jens Stoltenberg will be speaking about deterrence as the Secretary General of NATO, and that very much has to do with nations spending 2% of their GDP on defense. An American defense official saying today that about 2/3 of the alliance has now hit that target or will hit that target by year's end. Canada not among them. In fact, Canada won't even hit that target by the end of 2030. And Canada is the only nation within NATO that has not outlined when and how it will reach that target. So there are concerns about Ottawa's burden-sharing responsibility. Some of that certainly could come up next month, Jacqueline, when NATO leaders meet at the annual summit in Washington.
Okay, Abby, thanks so much. That's the CBC's Abby Kuthassan in Berlin.